This is Tennille Talks. So for the first part of this, I have to read what I've written only because there were some dates and key zodiac signs, and I don't want to miss those details just in case you really can pinpoint this, okay? So the mystic power of a high priestess is harnessed by... No, let me start over. The mystic power of high priestesses is harnessed by secret societies, covens, and alliances to gain unexpected income. There was a magician in your life that came to harness the power of you. The energy that flows in you, High Priestess, also flows and did flow in your ancestors. Your ancestors are currently causing conflict for the magician that was set in your life. An Aquarius, so this magician could be an Aquarius, or someone or something attached to the dates January 20th through February 19th. So maybe you could have met this person during that time. You could have relocated and connected to this person during that time. If you moved, somehow this person was now in your proximity. They were closer than maybe they have been before. Okay? And so this Aquarius was thinking about a high priestess that he could use in order to trade energy with as an exchange for abundance in his personal life. The conflict that this magician is facing is due to the fact that he thought he could sustain energy for his community's advancement, but the high priestess he targeted found the cure to this operation, what is the most powerful breaker of every curse known to man: love. Love comes from the divine. It is light energy. It is energy directly conjured from Source itself. If the high priestess had self-love, she could exchange her energy to create an abundance. But if the magician offered his high priestess a cup of love, or a promise of a union, or a commitment, then he could turn that and use her energy in this contract, this union. He could turn that and use the energy to create abundance for himself. And so, let's just talk about that part. Sometimes when people come into our life, they tell us that they're coming in to love us, to connect to us, to build with us, to grow with us. But many times, it is something that you have that has drawn them to you. Sometimes they were sent to you by whatever it is that they're a part of because they know that you possess something. And if they can get you to willingly give them what it is you have, then they can take it and use it for their own gain. Now, what they do with you in the meantime is the other part of the deal or the plan that they've come up with, right? Now, let me talk about this. When a divine woman is in a marriage, but with a man that is godly, with a man that is divinely sent to her, this exchange is natural and normal because the love of a high priestess, of a divine woman, a woman in her divinity, it brings life and it brings growth and it nurtures and it expands, right? And so it creates kingdoms. And it's the man's job to protect that kingdom and to make sure that the prosperity is sustained. The prosperity grown is always sustained, right? So everybody has a role, but there's something about the high priestess and what a divine woman can offer to a union. Now, men know this, and it's amazing because the entire world is structured to make us think that women are second class. And it's supposed to do that so that we never think that we are who we really are. We never are supposed to know that it is us that is making shit happen. We have heard before that behind every good, successful man is a good woman, And if we just dig into that deeper and we connect it to the spiritual community and the attacks that women go through in order to have their energy harnessed for the gain of others, like that is the premise that it's built off of. It takes a certain kind of woman to bring a man to his full success and potential. Whether it be his mother, it doesn't always, but I'm saying it takes somebody genuinely pouring in to birth something in you for you to then take it and to be able to apply it to your life. Now, there are some men who have spiritual knowledge, right? They understand how this works. And so some of them have grouped themselves together and decided that we are just going to take it cowardly. We're never going to say that we are in your life to do this thing. right? And they can be your father, they can be your brother, they can be your uncle, they can be anybody, a cousin. They don't always have to come in bringing you an intimate connection. They can be, somebody that's connected through your lineage. Okay. At some point, good news arrived about a home. So now I want you to think about this connection to this person. Think about if when this person was in your life, did you have some good news? Was there a miracle that happened? And I want you to know right now that any good news, any miracle, anything that happened in your life when this magician was in your life, it was a part of that. It was supposed to set you up to be in the position for this harvesting to be beneficial. So it seemed like an encouraging miracle that was a total surprise. It was actually to make it possible for this magician to operate this third-party operation. I say third party because it's you, it's the magician, and then it's whatever the entity is that is fully aware of what is happening. Okay? Maybe the person was married and that could be his wife. Maybe it was the coven, the cult, the society that he was a part of that kind of like mapped all this together. And I want you to understand that nobody watches the sky. Nobody watches the sky harder than dark forces. And we know that the timing, the way events happen energetically are really God's design. Right? So when we have these moons, these eclipses, whenever we have like these universal sources of energy that are pouring in, nobody knows best than these covens who are trying to take the energy and to counterfeit and use it for their growth, right? Okay. So this group was aware that a spiritual awakening was going to take place for this high priestess at a certain time, and that the magician or the magic was going to be unlocked. When I talk about the magic being unlocked, I mean these groups know when the magic inside of a high priestess or a high priestess is due to unlock, due to unfold, right? They know the rhythms of your level up spiritually, divinely. And so before you can get good and comfortable with the gifts that you possess, they have already decided how they are going to steal it from you. And that is what this story is pretty much telling you. In order to make this exchange of energy a fluid process, the home or the good news that received that seemed like a miracle was actually, it was the environment in which all of this was going to be able to take place. So your home could have been cursed. There was something about the environment that you were in, whether it was work, right? Sometimes you go to work, you leave exhausted, not because you always worked hard, but because of the nature of your job and the influences and the things that people are projecting and doing to you and saying about you are sucking the life out of you. And that in itself could be a workplace where you are being energy harvested. You understand? Okay. I'm just looking at my notes. Give me a second. Okay, so something happened during this mission to the energy harvest. The high priestess decided at some point to be brave and to be honest. So in this situation, this magician comes in, it says, hey, let's have a union, this is what I want. But something about it didn't pan out the way that this high priestess had seen it in his or her mind. And so the moment that this high priestess decides to speak up about it and to say, I'm not really feeling this doesn't feel good, I just kind of want to tell you the truth, is the moment that the ancestors are able to engage. Because you've spoken something. You've spoken something to the very people that came in to steal from you what once and still does belong to your lineage. And it is in your ability to be brave and to be honest and to speak. Speaking moves mountains. It moves energy. It does something. It does something. And so what was not known, and this is the really cool part. So, as this high priestess was undergoing a heart healing, so for you to agree to something with a dark magician that really never had your best interests at heart, for you to agree to it in the beginning, but then later to realize it wasn't for you, means that something inside you had to change in between the time of you saying yes to you saying no. And in this situation, we're seeing that it was a heart healing. They knew that you were going to receive this download of gifts that they needed for their own abundance, right? But what they didn't understand is that this batch of gifts came with a level of healing. You kind of had a warranty, a repair kit attached to it that was also going to build you up from the inside out. And so, yes, you have the gift, but you also have something that is working within you to help you grow, which is what even propelled you to speak and to say that this is no longer for me. Now, this is what changed the course, right? Because they didn't plan for this. They didn't plan for you to heal. They didn't plan for you to object. They didn't plan for you to speak up. That was not a part of it. And so that is what kind of shifted. I'm turning my notes. Now, in order for somebody to understand what is in your lineage and what is true to your family, I'm going to say that your family is involved. Right? And so before they can proposition a partner to come into your life, they first have to proposition potentially your parents or your closest relatives to get on board with this. And many that are carnal and that operate out of lust and that truly don't have an ounce of divinity in them are going to take whatever they can, even if it means your demise is promised, right? And so they will take cars, they'll take homes, they'll take love that appears to be counterfeit. And counterfeit love is just when it looks good on the outside, but in the reality, y'all are just getting numb together. You know, you've got a partner in crime that's just as wounded as you. That's what it means. That's got counterfeit love. That's struggle love. So the community that gathered together started to experience natural disasters, risk, and frustrations. And the plot for survival began to get fragile. The family and the community that was attacked or decided to attack this high priestess knew that her heart had healed. They never believed it would. But finally, something inside of her was changing, which no longer allowed them to do what they had always done. The community or the family were her first attackers. I already mentioned that. Now, in comes another significant person. Now, this could actually be a Gemini, or this could be something that happened during Gemini season, which would be between May 21st and June 20th. Now, think about your journey these past few years. Think about that time frame. What happened during that season of your life, or what will happen, because we haven't yet gotten to May 21st or June 20th. Someone that was courting you was aware of what was taking place, and they are going to want to come in maybe during Gemini season, or they can be a Gemini, and they may want to now be brave and honest and say that they apologize. They foolishly took a leap of faith to oppose you because they understood that the wisdom that you possessed was ancient and is worth something. So let me tell you, when God gives you something, these dark forces are always going to think that you don't know how to handle it because you don't pursue life in the same way that they do, right? So you're not chasing materials, you're chasing souls, right? You're chasing souls in the same way that God has chased souls. You are trying to save, you're trying to heal, you're trying to bring awareness, you're trying to bring love, you're being empathetic, you're being compassionate. You can see the things that plague the human collective, and so you make it your personal mission to go after and to fight for those things. And you know you don't need Gucci shoes to do God's work, right? You know that a soul doesn't understand a designer label or a car or a home or a degree or a zip code for a wealthy neighborhood. You know that souls truly don't need those things, but egos do. And so you don't need those things to be accepted by the people that you were sent to gather, for the people that you are supposed to lead. Now, people that oppose you will most likely kind of put those items or materials on a pedestal because they are looking to attract people, but it's not because of their divinity, it's because of their desires and their lust and just the overall weakness in their flesh. Now, you are habitually selfless, And what I'm saying is that you would harm yourself before you harm another. And I say that because I personally know that, like, in my lowest vibrations, the way that I would excessively use food or alcohol or codependent connections or just miserable situations, like, why am I working here? I fucking hate it. Like, all of those things we do that are really hurting ourselves. But the way that I was so willing to put myself in situations that felt good immediately, but in the long term were just like a slow death, it's because I was selfless. I wouldn't do that to another, but I would totally do it to myself. But now, once you understand how to give yourself what you need, right? Before you can heal another, you essentially have to heal yourself. Like, you have to be proof, walking proof that it works. You can't sell something that you've never bought into. And so it was when you decided to walk away from those that you allowed to endlessly take from you that the tide really began to shift. So intuitively, I think you offer compassion to these people, but physically your assignment is to forever maintain a distance between that magician, your family, this past lover, and this community. Thank you so much for being with Tennille Talks. I'll see you on the next one.